for the two new people. Jackie McDonald, I work at the University of Southern Queensland in Australia, and I've been working in community practice since 2006. What we'd like to do in the goals of our workshop, which we've been working together with the facilitators of our 5 existing communities of practice here at Hong Kong Polytechnic, and working out what would work today to support the community practice initiative going forward. So the call for proposals is out. We're out at the end of June. It closes at the end of July. And we had the Professor Chang, who's a very senior manager here in the morning session, strongly advocating the support of the higher level management status of the community practice. So a great opportunity to apply for some funding and work together with like-minded colleagues on something that you feel passionate about, thinking of it as an opportunity to work with others. So not addressing a problem or an issue, but an opportunity to work together and move forward, learning together about how you can improve practice. So one of the ones I know that's flagged is working with international students, and there has been community practice in that at USQ, and it's an opportunity not only to work internally, but also liaise with other external communities of practice. Okay, the COP theory, I'm just going to really quickly skip over that. So our two new participants today, the PowerPoint slides will be available, and also the resources. And I think everyone that was going to attend, the owner sent out 2 files. Quite early on, we sent out the Introduction to Community Practice by Etienne and Bedwin Chana. And it's a really nice 5-page summary of the theory. So this morning I talked about the 1998 book, which was a core seminal work about community practice. But all of that is distilled basically into those 5 pages, picking up the 3 core elements and the operation of community practice. So just reading that 5-page file, that came as a PDF file, but is also available on the web page, will give you a grounding and foundation of the community practice initiative. Our main focus today is going to be on collaborating, working together on how to establish, implement and sustain communities of practice. Within the 5 phases of communities of practice that at University of Southern Queensland we established were the 5 core phases that our communities of practice seem to work through over the period of their life cycle. And if they got to the end of a year or 18 months, they may go back into that cycle, sustaining, recreating, implementing. So that process can be a cycle process. It's not linear stops, although of course some communities of practice reach the end of their life. And then you celebrate your achievements and the community disperses, but there's still that residual sense of ownership and belonging to a community that people carry forward. And from the outcomes of today's workshop, an idea is to collate the ideas and resources to support the community practice initiative here. Okay, so just again, the summary of the components of community practice, and I'm going to really skip through this quickly. This is where I come from, University of Southern Queensland in Queensland. And this morning I talked about our experience, USQ as a multimodal campus, how we got started, and I won't tell the story again, but for the 2 people that are new to this session, we put together a couple of papers for the HRSA conference in 2008, and those 2 papers, one about our leadership role, and then another one that's reporting on what the members thought about the participation in our first community practice, available online. And we actually have a couple of people here from HERDSA, if they would mind putting their hand up. Right, so HERDSA is the higher would you like to just
Higher Education Research and Development Society of Australasia.
Australasia, yes. So a couple of years ago, these two very hardworking people put together the HERDSA conference, which was held here. It's an annual conference just finished in Perth, and it's for higher education, research and development. So if learning and teaching is your passion, the HERDSA Society is a great community to join, and you have a branch here in Hong Kong. So the final comment I'd like to add is this kind of punchline with communities of practice. I know I'm not alone, and just a story from our very first pilot community of practice. When we got started, for the core course leaders in the faculty of business, everyone was particularly busy, very huge teaching loads, as well as kind of teaching online, international students, local students. A lot of our students are first in family, so they don't have a sense of what it means to go to university, but we also have mature age students, so people that have been working for a long time and are coming back to university to get the qualifications, extend their education. So for some of them, they don't even know how to use a computer. So the student cohort is particularly challenging, but also exciting because there's just people bringing their experiences from overseas or from industry and sharing that practice with students straight out of high school. So the person that made this comment from our first community practice, when we interviewed her, she said, why would I want to go to a community practice? I'm already so busy. Why go to another meeting? I just didn't want to do it. But as I said this morning, the invitation came from the Dean. So there was that kind of stamp of higher management approval. To the time when our communities of practice were meeting formally once a month. But come the summer semester, people are moving around, a lot of people on holidays, so we had just a very informal community practice gathering at the coffee shop. And this person who was late came kind of bouncing in, full of choice, full of energy and activity, and she says, I love communities of practice, I know I'm not alone. And I thought, wow, what a punchline for our community practice. So I wanted to put it on our USQ webpage, but interestingly, branding people said, it sounds like, we are already USQ, so they changed the wording a little bit. But for me, this affirms what communities of practice is about. And from the publication from the Hong Kong Baptist University, there's a very, very similar quote from one of the educators who was writing saying, I've taught for 20 years and I felt very isolated in my practice, but with the community practice, I now find there is a whole group of like-minded professionals that I get to meet with, share and grow my practice. So a very similar experience. And that's for communities of practice for the people that are thinking, do I want to put a proposal in? Well, yes, you do. Okay. On your desk, and I think was sent to you, is a handout, which I'd like to just bring your attention to now. This is what I've put together for communities of practice that are getting started. So if you wouldn't mind just having a look, and I'll just talk you through the different components. So what happens at USQ, someone has a great idea or a challenge, and they come and they say, I've got this idea for starting a community practice, can you help me get started? So we talk about the idea, and I always say, don't think of it as a challenge, think of it as an opportunity. Okay, let's identify who you think you would like, or who would like to be part of that community, and what we do, and then also identify a champion. So if it was a community practice about working with international students, the champion would be the head of the international office. So someone higher up who doesn't have a lot of input in your day-to-day activities of community practice, but gives that stamp of, yes, senior management really values the community practice. And then out goes an email, usually just an email goes out to the people that the idea with that particular spark, yes, someone gets started, the people they think would be interested, with the invitation, if you know other people that would be interested, please bring them along to the first community practice. Though in that first gathering, the initiator would talk about their idea, opportunities, what they'd like to do. And then I talk briefly, so I don't take up the community's time too much, just talk briefly about what is a community practice, how it's different from academic meetings, and to give everyone, to summarise the ideas, and to give everyone something just to take away in their hand. Over the years I've condensed what I think are the core elements of getting started with the community practice under these headings. So we've talked about the three elements this morning. The domain of knowledge, which creates the common ground and a sense of common identity. The community of people who care about the domain and create the social fabric of learning. And the shared practice. So those three elements are the core part of the theory of community practice. So why COPs now, when informal communities have always existed? So part of it is just the explosion of knowledge, part of it is the academic environment where we're just so busy that we tend to stay within our discipline areas, or even just within our room and not do the sharing. And social learning theory has kind of come surface to the top as a way to encourage learning, both for us as academics, but for our students and learners as well. So I'm not going to go right through those bullet points, they're there for you to take away. So we need to be really clear that a community practice is quite different from your normal academic meetings. And people, I think, this is one of the core things we try and get people to understand. So there isn't a hierarchy. It's about people coming together to share their practice and grow their domain and build a community around that. So although the leadership role is really important, it's not a hierarchical formal role, it's a facilitator role or a convener role. And membership is voluntary. So there's a few key things there, and as I pointed out, you all will have been to meetings where the agenda is set from above and you work through the agenda and you're actually attending but you're not having any input. You're not driving the agenda. Often you find the decisions are actually made and you're there listening, hearing that the decisions are made, and then you just go away. That's kind of just an information sharing. It's not a coming together, sharing practice and exploring and challenging ideas, because often that decision that's been made, the decision makers don't want it to be challenged. So I'm being a bit cynical here, but that's some of the experience. So the COPs community practice are member driven, but having a leader or convener to facilitate the process is particularly important. The agenda is decided by members, membership is voluntary, and it needs to be practical with useful outcomes and resources, and the goals and the focus are decided by members. And of course, for the members, it contributes to sharing and improving your practice. So over the page is just the three elements that I use as an organising structure for community practice gatherings. And people have moved that around. It doesn't have to be domain knowledge then sharing practice. It could be the sharing practice and domain knowledge, but the topics are decided by the members. And I'll give you an example. So one of the big ones for our first community practice, because it was first year courses that were our first community practice, assessment, how to engage students in assessment, how to more effectively assess students' learning, was always one of the core things. So that would be one of the topics for a community practice gathering. So the facilitator would invite someone usually from outside the community practice, or maybe someone in the community practice who has expertise in different kinds of assessment. So that person would come in and share for about 20 minutes some information, what they're doing, to grow the domain knowledge of the members of the community. And then there's time for question and answer, and quite often we ask our community members if they've got questions to put them to the invited speaker before the session. We also make it clear to the speaker that it's not didactic, it's a very short time, and then it's to be interactive. And then the sharing of practice time would then be the members sharing how they assess their students or their assessment practice, or speculating with the members based on what they've heard in that presentation, how that could be applied within their own context. And the community time, we always try and have healthy food, and we have a time that is unstructured. So there's nothing happening except people interacting informally around community practice topics, or just building a rapport with other members of the community by talking about what's happening in their life. And all the research actually shows the importance of that unstructured community practice time to build a community. I have some notes there on the role of the community practice facilitator, and what I've found is that facilitator role is a key role, an important part, pivotal for the success of a community practice. So at the bottom of the page I've got in the table COP facilitator resources. So I was privileged to win an Australian fellowship, and I developed some facilitator resources, which we'll be looking at today. But then also some colleagues that I've been working with community practice, we've got an Office of Learning and Teaching 2-year grant to work on leadership of community practice, and that's another separate lot of resources just specifically for the leaders of community practice. The last bullet points there are practical considerations, and those are the kind of things that when we move into our workshop mode, some of the things that you might like to talk about. And for our first gathering of community practice, after the facilitators talked about what they would like to do, and I've shared this, the rest of the time is spent with the members doing a think, pair, share. And I like to do that because I like to have people think for themselves first. Because if you go straight into the sharing and discussion, that lets people either not have an original idea, or they don't feel confident to share it. But if you have that idea yourself, you think and share it with a pair, and then go into the bigger group, it seems much more effective to generate ideas. So any questions before we move on? So out of the research we did at USQ, and this is actually on our facilitated website, these were the 5 phases that we determined were part of what we called a nurtured community practice. So we discovered there were various different kinds of community practice. So an organic one which operates just fairly informally and often under the radar of what's happening across the board at university. Our nurtured community practice is one that has defined leadership, often managers up to get resources and champions. And there's also strategic community practice, which are more top-down, so an institutional initiative where they say, we've got this great idea, or we want to implement this policy, and we think, instead of a project group, we think a community practice could make that happen. What we're going to do is spend most of our time, and we've got an hour, so we've got 3 lots of 20 minutes to identify the key issues and strategies for the 5 phases of community practice within the context here. So we have 1 hour focused discussion. And one of the books I've been reading recently is Future Brain, really interesting book. And Jenny Brooks talks about what research is showing about these activities. 20 minutes of brainstorming will create 3 new ideas, CF, compared with 7 ideas from focused discussion. So today we're having focused discussion. We have table leaders who will stay at the tables. So you've all been nominated a table to start with for the first 20 minutes. The table leaders have kindly responded and answered to a call for volunteers. They will be guiding the discussion in one of those 5 phase areas. They'll be guiding that discussion. They'll be taking some notes, and Leona has created or generated an online process which will let us, or let the table leaders type in the notes, but then they must put them up on the board later. And before I move on, Leona, if you wouldn't mind standing up. Over the past 4 or 5 months, Leona has been the main contact person and the go-between for the community practice facilitators and the board of the Community Practice Initiative, facilitating the process to organise this and invite me here, and everything you see happening today. Thank you.
Enjoy the discussion.
Thank you. Leona's technology, it was her idea. I'm sure it will work because I've used a very similar software, but any questions, we've got a couple of people to help. Okay, so the process, we have 1 hour for in-depth discussion. You'll be able to contribute to 3 of the 5 phases that we've talked about. So you're allocated to 1 phase for the start, and then after 20 minutes, you will be able to move. I'll ring a bell or just say it's time to move. And you can move to a table, choose another table, another phase to work on. And then there'll be a chance for moving after that 20 minutes to another phase. So just to remind you, we have the initiation phase, the creation phase, infancy phase, maturity and sustaining, and recreating. So the table leaders stay in their space and facilitate the discussion and pick out the key points. And you share your ideas, which are captured onto our software. And then after 20 minutes you can move on, or if the discussion is going really well, or this is a particular area that you're at in your community practice or in your thinking, you are able to stay at that same table, so that you don't have to move if you don't want to. When you go to a new table, your table leader will just recap what has happened in the previous discussion, and then engage everyone in taking that discussion and ideas forward. So you can see that's why it's kind of generates more new ideas than a particular unstructured brainstorming. Okay, so as I say, start at the allocated table and move once or twice. Let me see my notes and see if I've missed anything. No, I haven't, because then at 3:30 we will ask the table leaders to just share with the whole group then one or two key points that have been raised for those particular phases. And then those ideas will be a resource that will be collated and used by the Community Practice Committee, and maybe a resource that goes up on the website. So we have 20 minutes. At 10:02 we'll stop, and I'll ask everyone to move on to the next table. So, as they say, if you've got children and grandchildren, and read that book Where the Wild Things Are, let the rumpus begin. Phase 1 initiation. We've got the microphones there.
Hello, this is table 1A, initiation. So basically it's the first step. The key issues will be around identifying a key scope and also identifying key members. So suggestion around it can be having something social, having a social group and then let that develop organically. Or it can be writing on some strategic initiative from the UGC, like referring to the QAC report and from other universities, so you know what are the UGC initiatives. And you can also come to EDC workshops, and then you get to know other people and other people from the other faculties and identify the keys about identifying the common grounds, things that is applicable to everyone. So asking people about the issues on that domain. So defining the scope and getting members will be the key challenge and suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can see there's quite a versatile software. So photos captured of the members and popped up. And so that software actually allows you to drop in files, but also work from an iPad as well. Yeah. And I think after this session, I'm looking at Diana, this information will be, how will it be shared?
Yes, we can export this into a PDF, or we can do a JPEG of all the notes there.
Will be shared, obviously. Okay.
It will be shared. However, it will be shared, okay? All right, so the next one. Table 1B.
Because we do combination.
Okay.
Do a combined discussion for the second last phase. So to supplement, I think the most important issues we need to identify the focus, the gap, the resources, and I think how to facilitate the facilitator is also important. How to communicate better about the perceived value from the members for these strategies. I think to share with two strategies. One is one of our IT experts share with us that there are some social platforms that people will go there and ask for online questions and issues, so that platform really help to naturally build up and capture some issues, common ground, common issues, so we can develop some communities from that. Another thing is about the resources and some point of things like that, and also good to be aligned with the senior management's thinking, so that it also help to get better support for the group.
Thank you. So moving on to table 2A. And I'll just ask just one point, please, otherwise I'm not going to let every table get an opportunity. So 2A, is that good?
That's very brief. We are to creation. So creation is dovetailing initiation. By the time when we create a community, obviously we need to have a domain, and setting the domain with the level of abstraction is important. Plus, we at least have a set of target members, hopefully more forward than people in the peripheral. Invite people or involve people from all walks of life on different sectors of the university. COP needs to be born in a nurtured environment. So we have this term called maneuverant facilitator. I don't know how long he or she will last after that role. COP to us also needs to balance autonomy, control, governance, and other things. So it would be nice that we give COP some freedom to pursue what they want, and even encourage them to try something that would be a bit different, in a positive way.
Great, thank you. So table 2D.
Okay, so after the initiation stage, so after the university approves your COP, I guess from our members propose that we need to do a feasibility study. Okay, so in your proposal you may have identified some of the problems that your COP will want to solve. Once your COP start, you need to understand which one you can actually achieve or try to solve within a time frame, maybe within a year or two. And then you need to maybe decide on some of the activities that your COP will provide for your members. For example, professional development workshops, any platforms that you can share with your members, whether to organize face-to-face meetings regularly or not regularly, do it online or not. Also, maybe encourage members to submit proposals for other fundings together. So these are things that we consider start.
Great, thank you. Table 3A.
Anyway, I'll speak louder. I cannot turn the music down. To summarize, maybe we can look at the pictures right there. Let's say it's drawn by Philip from the School of Design. And then we have a metaphor. Okay, can we roll that a little bit? Yeah. So we draw a metaphor for the infancy stage to an infant. So when during that discussion, we just put all the analogies, thinking that the infant would meet a parent, and also maybe there are some babysitters, but not too many. And then we need to feed some sense into it, feed them with the intellectual food, clean them up, be careful with them, protect them. But really, you need to develop, allow them to develop, with giving them enough freedom to develop.
Sounds like very good parenting. So table 3B.
Yes, we are also doing an inference, inferencing. So we are trying to grow the baby. So how then? We think about a couple of areas. First, we think of creating. When the participants join the activities in the early stage, then we need to give them chances to raise the areas that they want to focus. These areas will be the sub-areas. So that is the first thing. And then we will have to look at the relevancy and the achievable goals that have been set by the participants. The first round? Oh, I see. Can't really remember. Oh, I see. Still key that they think of the last one I want to highlight is the most important one is to bring the outside inside so that it will be able to grow later. So we don't want to have a very restricted focus in this stage. That's the most meaningful part. And the second one is we need to establish the meaning of the gathering, so that the participants will be motivated to come back. And there should be also a gap to establish the gaps of the support. If they don't see it necessary to them, then they won't come back again. Next is for the facilitator side, then what are the reasons that keep them staying, or the participant side as well?
Now, do they get any recognitions at this stage? They need to see the points of contributing their efforts to it, be it in any form of reward. Not necessarily monetary, but it's kind of, we will say that it's self-enrichment. That is kind of more personal ways of rewards.
Thank you. We're up to table 4A.
Yes, we got a lot, but I believe 2 words can summarize our understanding about maturity and sustainability. It's about consolidation and recreation. Consolidation as in many very creative adjectives courtesy by Remy of the School of Design, including wisdom, respect, self-actualization, transcendence. That gave us from the members, so we need to consolidate them into crystallized wisdom, as psychologists would describe. And then you need recreation. You need to reinvent yourself to sustain the ethos of the members, move along with these and emerging developmental issues of your members. So you need to recreate yourself through the process.
Okay, thank you. Table 4B.
In our group, we have discussed several points about the maturity and sustainability. For the maturity, we're talking about how to involve members in planning, idea sharing, and also we can establish well-structured induction materials for new members so that they know what happens in the COP. And also we can have the reflection session to reinforce members about the COP objective and also review the expectation and measure the effectiveness, which will be helpful in these things.
We're going to have time to read through all 13
points. And also maturity programs and benchmarking is part of the digital practice that may be helpful for following as well. And some main part for the sustainability probably is leverage on other resources and also supporting members to join some overseas activities to bring back your ideas for COP sharing practice, peer support practice. So these are the main points we would like to discuss. Also share with all of them.
And the advantage of this software is we can go back and look at all those great points. Thank you very much. 5A.
Hi. To reflect the theme, we actually combine 5A and 5B to recreate Table 5. Okay. So our discussion, all of us actually started with the first a question: recreating. Why recreating? It all starts with a question. So whether COP will end or does COP end? So we through our discussions, first point we think that maybe that COP can end with a good reason. For example, if we have a COP for Chinese, enhancing student Chinese, and one day everyone speaks very good Chinese, you don't need COP. So that's the end. Second one is we have to keep running it indefinitely. So that will be different focus and different ways. In terms of focus, we're talking about it can be changes from 5% all the way up to 100%. Or different ways, it can involve evaluation, improving, renegotiation, spinning off, evolving, extending, expanding, or restructuring. So this is the second part of in terms of the ways of changing or recreating it, and we also consider that there are experiences of recreating. It can be a loop of the 5 steps, and it is not time bound because it is a two-way process. The environment change, people change, resources change, COP will change naturally. So it's interactive process. And
thank you, Caroline.
That's all we have.
Great, perfect. So congratulations to the team and the activities that and ideas that are generated. Amazing range, breadth and depth of ideas.